Today I was leaving my apartment and heard the guy that lives under me whisper, "Wow, he's actually going out." What things have you heard people whisper that make you feel pathetic? When I was a kid, I used to have to spend my summer with my dad. I hated it because I lived in Northern Cal and he lived in SoCal. All my friends lived up north, and every summer vacation was spent in a place where I had no friends and had absolutely nothing to do. One summer when I was about 8, I overheard my stepmom talking to her son. I only heard part of it, but the part I heard was, "Mom, when is he leaving? I hate him," and her replying, "I know. Hopefully he will be gone soon." Yeah, that was fun. What a bee. Sorry, just had to get that out there. I am legally blind, and though I don't wear glasses now, I did when I was a kid, very thick ones. I was also a pretty nerdy kid. Well, I'm still as an adult I suppose, but anyways, I was in the 5th grade at a school dance kind of moping around the wall, and this cute girl came up and wanted to dance with me. It was the late 80s, so I was doing the Pee Wee Herman for anyone who remembers that number, and thoroughly enjoying my burgeoning hormonal self. So after the dance is over, I am feeling pretty good about myself. That is until I see the girl go over to her teacher and she gives the girl money. Yes, a teacher paid the cute girl to dance with me. I didn't feel so pimping after that. Pizza delivery guide to me. You order from us so much I didn't even have to look up the directions to know how to get here. Me. Oh, really? I guess that's good. Pizza guy. Actually, it's pretty sad. Me. Well, no tip for you, pizza boy. I had gone through a tough period. Around the time of my 18th birthday at university, I had finally begun making some lovely friends. As such, they threw me my first ever surprise party. It was a lovely experience and the happiest I had been in ages. A few weeks later, my friend had borrowed my laptop. When I got it back and went back onto Gmail, I noticed she hadn't logged out and the chat window with another one of my friends was open. I was gonna log out without a second thought until I saw my name. Being curious, I read it. This is what it said. Friend A, why did we even bother doing a surprise party for Hijaba Hipster? What a waste of cake, lol. She's so stupid. Friend B, I know. She's such a waste of time. Didn't even have the energy to confront them. Just stopped talking to them and everyone else and melted back into myself for a year. I'm fine now though. Now I feel really bad for not telling her. Said by one best friend to another just after I found out that my boyfriend had been cheating on me. Everyone knew before me. Breaking news. You need new friends. On the bus during an 8th grade trip, a couple of months after my mom died. It sucks that she doesn't have a mom because nobody likes her anyway. I quickly responded with, I may not have a mom but I do have functioning ears. Whole bus went silent. This is the most fricked up thing I've read on here. I'm so sorry you had to put up with that. It's not like we like her or anything. We just keep her around because she makes us all look better. Safe to say that felt like a knife to the kidney. How did you manage to get into our clique group or something along those lines? She said that right out loud for no reason, with all of our friends in the hotel room. Mostly by ignoring how much of a bee you are. Walking into Supercuts, one of the stylists leans over to the other and says, I hate this guy, you cut his hair. I turned around and walked out. That was the perfect reaction to that situation. Wish I could have seen their faces. When I was 10, I was walking home from school with my best friend. A kid from our class saw us. Douche, hey, you're not actually hanging out with that nerd. Friend, hahaha, nah, man. If I was hanging out with this nerd it'd just be to beat him up. Followed by calm explanation that he had to keep up appearances. Told him to frick off and walked home alone. Feeling like crap. Frick fake friends. I'm a waitress. Yesterday, I took a big salad to a table, a nice couple who were on the overweight side. As I passed by, the table next to them said very loudly, wow, that's big enough for 6. You could see the excitement of the woman's face vanish instantly. I felt bad for them so I gave them more bread. Being a larger woman, that hurt my heart. It's hard enough knowing you're overweight, ordering a salad for God's sakes, and still getting crap for it. Thank you for being so nice. Wasn't whispered, but said to my face. My buddy was out of town and I told my mom I was going over to a friend's house and she said I thought Joe was out of town. He is. Why? Oh, what other friends do you have? Frick you too, mom. Shopping with my mother. Oh, buy some fancy shoes. Impress your cats. During my freshman year in high school I went out with a girl a few times and I was new to the area. Eventually she started hanging out with other guys and began dating the guy who was going to be one of my best friends later that year. So we're sitting on a bus going somewhere and they're behind me talking and I'm just sitting in front of them. He asks if she had actually liked me at all. She said no. Dang, that stung me reading it. In grade 6 I had major hip surgery that left me with a significant limp. Grade 7 I am walking to class and some girl in the crowd of people says learn how to walk right. I said learn how not to be a bee. I got detention for swearing. 2. I have a good one, and it might be early enough that it will get seen. I am physically handicapped, and I walk with crutches. Read my comment history if you want more on that. I was at a gentleman's club for a night out with friends. I went out back to have a cigarette, and there were 2 strippers, also smoking, nearby. One of them looked at me and said to her friend, Jesus, what is this, a freaking home? I wish I had been clear-headed enough to tell her exactly what I thought of her. Esprit d'escalier and all that. Oh my god, is she still watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer? My neighbors outside when I was several episodes into a marathon. Hey, what's up? Asked a strangely friendly young lady. Nothing. You, I responded, glancing up. Who the heck was talking to you? Said both her and the douchesques are behind me. The last day of my senior year about 10 people who talked to me frequently told me they thought I looked like a school shooter, so they only pretended to like me so I would spare them if I was one. I went home and cried like a 10-year-old. I've heard people say this before. I once politely pointed out that it's that kind of treatment that makes people want to shoot up their schools in the first place, a self-fulfilling prophecy. They looked at me like I had just threatened to execute them. I just ran a bingo game at a local watering hole. When I called I 30 and remarked that I was about to turn 30, this 10-year-old said, wow, he looks older. To which his mom replied, shh, I told you not to say that out loud. Frick. How on earth does he know when you go out unless he's at home all day keeping tabs on when you go out? He's just as pathetic if you ask me. I think I'm going to start blasting Who Let the Dogs Out on repeat whenever I go out just so he knows I'm gone. Dang it, I got the song stuck in my head while typing this. When jumping off the high dive for the first time, I comment, why didn't you tell me it was this much fun? Because you would have ruined it. When I first started at my job, everyone thought I was the kid who'd shoot up the place because I was quiet and introverted. Once I started getting over my anxiety and interacting with people, I was the nerdy gay kid because I didn't have any skills with women. Once I started getting girlfriends, after starting to date a girl, second girl from my place of employ, they all told her that I was cheating on her. False, with many different women from my job. Freaking gossips. He'll lose weight eventually. My father on the phone with my grandmother as I was in bed in the next room. And I never did sob. When I was taking a nap, my parents were having a discussion about how I was amounting to nothing. Yup, they were right. I cried for a while. It hurt because I was trying freaking hard. I was at a Barnes & Noble and one of the sampler people were patrolling around. I moved a couple of times to avoid them. I worked for Starbucks for 6 years as teenager, and the smell makes me gag. So, eventually they catch up, and I say no thank you, immediately. As I'm about to go check out, I stop at the magazine racks real quick, holding my breath since they are so close to the cafe section. I hear the sampler chick says to her co-worker, and not quietly, like halfway to shouting, that's the guy pointing at me, like, why don't they pass a law where those autistics can't go out without handlers? I'm not autistic, but my kid brother is. So, instead of walking over and making a scene, I decide to let my wallet do the talking. So I go to the main registers with my books, about $250 plus in RPG and other books, set them down, and demand a manager politely. Cashier looks confused, tries to ask about what's wrong, and I tell her again, I need to speak to the manager. Manager comes out, you just lost this sale and all of my future sales as well as my gaming groups. Hundreds of dollars a month. Gone. Because your barista is an extremely rude, intolerant gossip. Half the cafe heard he call me an autistic, in need of a handler. As an older sibling to someone with autism, I'm beyond offended. Manager is shocked and goes to apologize. I wave him off, tell him to save it, making my purchases on Amazon from now on. The little old lady behind me had heard the barista say it and chimed in with I heard her say it. I used to bring my autistic grandson here for story time. Never again. You need to teach your employees to be more tolerant. So as I'm walking out, the manager half runs into the cafe and angrily gestures for the girl to go into the back room. The little old lady says to me I'm gonna go back and sit down, and stare at her and shake my head until the little bee cries. I waited till I was outside to start laughing. TLDR. Got called an autistic, when I'm not. Little old lady seeks psych revenge against the bee who said it. Why is she wearing that? What made her think that that was a good idea? Granted, it was a costume party for future farmers of America. For anyone who doesn't live in the Bible Belt, a bunch of stuck-up bee and their douchey boyfriends, who do not accept you unless you constantly wear obnoxiously blingy belts and dye your hair a different shade each week, with a few freaking awesome kids scattered in the mix. And I was in a fantastically silly banana costume. I proceeded to walk up on stage and participate in a costume contest. I got no votes. Frick them. My costume was the fricking bomb. Mr. Cal Cupcake, how come you've never had a girlfriend? I am 18 years old and that came from my best friend very loudly while we were in a busy street. My wife and I were in a theater a few months ago. When she sat down next to a couple, my wife overheard that the woman whispered to her husband, "Let's move. I don't like sitting next to fat people." One time in high school my friends were all at my friend's house partying and I was on the phone with one of them and asked if I could come over, and I hear my friend say in the background, "Oh wonk wonk, no frick that guy. He can't come." He apologized later and has acted super nice to me since, but I will hold a grudge for the rest of my life. Can you not sit next to us? Frick off, you have no friends. Frick off, nobody likes you. You're never going to get married. I was 12 when that was said. Your mother got rid of you for a good reason. Renounced at birth. Pity she didn't have an abortion instead. Nice walk. I have polio. Freaking cripple. I'll go if you can promise me isn't going. etc. Oh, and that time I was given a pet rock for Secret Santa when I had saved up and bought them a ceramic picture frame and some lollies. God, she's such a freaking retard, said by my boss as I walked out of the room. Thankfully a co-worker heard her and stood up for me. At work, it's wrong because Vivid Regina did it, mainly because I'm awesome at my job and the woman who said it was fired for incompetency. The freaking nerve of it. Just a few days ago my roommate had friends over. One of them said to my roommate, "Tell your roommates to come drink with us." My roommate emphatically whispered, "No." Huh? PSSSH. She's freaking ugly. -10. Oh. High school. New Year's Eve. Driving my car down to Bourbon Street with a friend I had a huge crush on. Just after the I-55/I-10 junction, she begs me to stop by a house of one of her battle buddies so she could say hi. Before I knew it, he was in my car and we were headed to Bourbon Street. I already felt like a third wheel, and then I hear him trying to talk to her under the radio, but it wasn't too quiet since she was in the front seat. "Hey, is he with?" "What? Him? No silly. It's you and me tonight. I just needed a ride to come see you." If you're trying to get with someone and they want you to pick up one of their friends along the way, the night is between them. You're just a taxi cab that won't charge for the ride. Lesson learned. A girl, who is well aware of our relationship, was hitting on my fiance at the club he occasionally DJs at, flaunting and talking about her thinness and whatnot. He responded by saying, "No offense, but some guys just prefer girls with curves. I love my woman the way she looks." She scoffs and looks at me across the room and says, "You mean, you prefer fat women?" I know she was just being a dumb bee, but still, feels bad, man. Heck no, not even drunk. After being the doughy sidekick in high school, I was hoping to come into my own a bit more in college. Luckily, I met my husband and have been happy. I was all alone on a boat cruise and I wanted some memories, so when no one was looking I tried to take pictures of myself, but I heard someone in the seat behind me still whisper something like, "Wow, someone loves to take pictures of themselves, huh?" If these people are so concerned with what you're up to, you can pretty much guarantee they're not doing anything important themselves. Teacher to my best friend, don't sit near her, me, and you'll do well. She'll work at McDonald's for the rest of her life. You should kill yourself. Everyone already wishes you were dead. I was only 12 and already diagnosed with depression. Needless to say, it's been quite a battle ever since hearing that. Not something whispered, but I think that makes it even worse. When I was 13 or 14, I was using the mirror in my mum's room, fussing over whether my new skirt made my hips look too lumpy. So I asked my mum if it did. She told me, "It's not the skirt that makes you lumpy, it's your hips." After she'd moved to a different state, she was back for a visit. First time I'd seen her in months. We were having a conversation about something or other, and out of nowhere she interrupted me to say, "You know, I think you've put on even more weight." Her friend was in the room with us but politely tried to pretend she hadn't heard. Back in middle school I had longer hair, and someone straight up asked me if I was a boy or a girl. Since then I grew a magnificent beard full of manhood. A new girl came to my high school my senior year, so I invited her to sit with my friends and I at lunch. I went back into the scramble area where you get food, drinks, etc. to get her water. I came back and she was telling my friends, "Are you guys seriously friends with her? All she freaking does is talk." Luckily my friends had my back. One of my friends said, "B, she's being nice to your stupid butt. Go to the freaking bathroom and eat by yourself." She went to a table by herself, and she ate by herself for the rest of the year. Karma. I touched him, stuck up B in high school after accidentally brushing up against me in the hallway. That one still kinda stings today. This wasn't said about me, but it's still a good one. My friends and I were at an art festival, and we were looking at a booth full of paintings of flowers. The artist was standing within earshot of us. One of my friends apparently didn't realize this, because he said he's like Georgia O'Keeffe except a lot less talented. Also, to the guy who said that, I know you're a Redditor. I hope you see this and feel guilty. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.